This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
In today's top stories, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, today said that every effort and every step towards building a new Algeria founded on sound foundations should be made at the service of the citizen and meet the aspirations of the people. Energy Minister and Special Envoy of President Abdelmajid Tebboune, Mohamed Arqab, was received by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, during which he presented Algeria's presentation for the 7th Gas Exporting Countries Summit meeting to be held in Algiers on the 2nd of March. Algeria, on the instructions of President Abdelmajid Tebboune, has underlined in its plea before the International Court of Justice the importance of abiding by international law relating to the occupation and to ensure that it is respected. And as the UN Security Council is meeting today to vote a draft resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the Israeli army has pursued its air strikes on the enclave. This is Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Osmani. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, today said that every effort and every step towards building a new Algeria founded on sound foundations should be made at the service of the citizen and meet the aspirations of the people. In an address to the participants at the opening of the national meeting organized by the Office of the Mediator of the Republic, the President said that since the people have honored us with their trust, our priority has been to launch without delay wide-ranging and in-depth socio-economic reforms, but also to make a real break with the harmful mentality and practices, paying particular attention to moralizing public life and combating corruption in all its forms, in line with the state's commitments, in particular those relating to strengthening good governance and the reform of the judiciary in order to guarantee its independence and ensure its modernization. In this respect, President Tebboune assured that the dignity of the citizen is not a slogan but a policy, a path and a working method in the Algeria we are building together. He added that bringing the administration closer to the citizen is not an empty slogan either, but a reality reflected in measures and achievements on the ground. The Army General Said Shingriha, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, is on an official visit to Rwanda following the invitation of the Rwandan Army General Mubarak Muganga, Chief of Defense Staff of Rwanda, with the aim of reinforcing cooperation between the People's National Army and the Rwandan Armed Forces. The two men discussed issues of common interest between the armies of the two countries. Now, the Minister of Energy and Mines and Special Envoy of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, Mohamed Arqab, was received in Caracas by President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, to whom he handed in a message from the head of state. Mariam Bashir reports.
The Energy Minister transmitted to the President of Venezuela the greetings of President Tebboune and discussed means of reinforcing bilateral relations in various areas, notably in the field of energy. In this respect, Mr. Arqab presented the steps taken by Algeria as part of the preparation for the 7th Gas Exporting Countries Forum Summit meeting to be held in Algiers on the 2nd of March. In those lines, the Minister affirmed that the President of the Republic counts Venezuela to actively participate in the summit and to contribute to promoting solidarity values between the member states of the forum. The forum is aimed at strengthening the dialogue, intensifying consultations and promoting its gas resources and its gas industry in general.
Now, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, is on an official visit to the Kingdom of Jordan at the invitation of his Jordanian counterpart, Ahmed Safadi. During his visit, which will last until Thursday, the Speaker of the Lower House of Parliament will have meetings with the high-ranking Jordanian officials to review the state of cooperation between the two countries and discuss ways and means of promoting cooperation in several fields of endeavour. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, has received his Kazakh counterpart here in Algiers. as part of the holding of the round session of political consultations between Algeria and Kazakhstan. Asia Bikar has the details.
The two officials hailed the dynamic mark in the relations between Algeria and Kazakhstan recently, thanks to the decision of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. The meeting was also an opportunity to examine ways and means to promote and boost bilateral cooperation, notably through the exchange of high-level visits, the creation of a joint commission, and the reinforcement of bilateral legal framework. Earlier, the Secretary General of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Lounes Magraman, has co-chaired here in Algiers with the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister of the Republic of Kazakhstan, the second Algerian-Kazakh political consultation session. During the meeting, the two parties examined bilateral cooperation in all fields and reaffirmed their common will to strengthen bilateral relations and to expand cooperation areas, notably through updating and enhancing the legal framework governing them, besides establishing a schedule for exchanging visits. The two officials also agreed on the importance of accelerating the implementation of a joint cooperation commission in charge of monitoring the progress achieved and giving new impetus to cooperation in the economic, business, scientific and technical fields.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. The Communication Minister Mohamed Lagab has said in Algiers that digital sovereignty was on top of the state's agenda, arguing that its achievements require the combined efforts of all of us. In a speech delivered at the opening of an international meeting on the digital sovereignty of the state, comparative policies and experiences, Mr. Lagab said the following.
The creation of content must go hand in hand with the development of communication platforms. We must then concentrate our efforts among technicians, journalists and politicians to protect citizens from the information circulating on the network, a space that does not belong to us and in which we are trying to extend our sovereignty. Our fight is to protect our fellow citizens. In short, digital sovereignty is a complicated, arduous and costly issue for which the unity of all is required.
The Pan-African Federation of Accounts held a meeting recently here in Algiers to examine ways of promoting the accountancy profession in Africa. The Chief Executive Officer of the Federation, Alta Prinsloo, told our reporter about the impact of the Algiers meeting on the accountancy profession.
We have 56 professional accountancy organizations in 45 countries in Algeria, and the accountancy profession in Africa, in 45 countries in Africa, and the accountancy profession in Algeria is a real important member of our Pan-African Federation of Accountants. We are meeting here today because they are progressive. They have adopted public sector reforms that is really an example for the rest of Africa, and we don't often see the accountancy profession playing a leading role in engaging with the public sector in Africa. So we are happy to be in Algeria where that is the case, and we think that going forward the Pan-African Federation of Accountants will be able to use this as a very good example of how the accountancy profession in French-speaking countries in Africa can engage with their public sector.
That was the Chief Executive Officer of the Pan-African Federation of Accounts, Alta Prinsloo. The public hearings are continuing today and until Monday at the International Court of Justice of The Hague on the legal consequences of Israel's prolonged occupation of the Palestinian territories. Mariam Bershi tells us more.
Today, arguments are presented by Algeria, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Netherlands, Bangladesh, Belgium, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil and Chile. Algeria, on the instruction of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, today underlined in its plea before the International Court of Justice the importance of abiding by international law relating to the occupation and to ensure that it is respected. In his presentation to the ICJ on behalf of the group of Algerian lawyers panel, Algeria's legal counsellor Ahmed El Araba has said Algeria is deeply convinced that impunity is the first law of the oppressors, stressing that the job is to tell them that there is a law and that it must be respected and that it is not a law of vengeance but a law of justice. He denounced the Israeli policy and practices in occupied Palestine that violate the fundamental rules of human rights, calling on the competent international bodies to force the Israeli occupying authorities to put an end to the situation, which has deteriorated in the recent months. In addition to Mr. Laraba, the group of Algerian lawyers panel includes the expert in human rights issues and Vice President of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, Maya Sahli Fadel. For its part, Pretoria's lawyers have told the International Court of Justice that Israel's practices in the occupied Palestinian territories are an even more extreme form of the apartheid experienced in South Africa before 1994, calling for an immediate end to this inhumane policy of discrimination against the Palestinian people.
On the first day of the court's hearings, the judges listened to Palestine's lawyers. They emphasized the international importance of the case with 55 written interventions from states and international organizations. Palestine's lawyers outlined the breadth of the issues facing the judges, ranging from self-determination to apartheid. The ICJ's 15-judge panel has been asked to review Israel's occupation, settlement and annexation. Yesterday, the Palestinian Foreign Minister, Riyad al-Maliki, accused Israel of genocide, telling the UN's top court that the occupation must come to an unconditional and total end.
The only solution consistent with international law is for this illegal occupation to come to an immediate, unconditional and total end. As you affirmed 20 years ago, the Palestinian people have the right to self-determination. It is an erga omnes right. It is non-negotiable, non-derogable. No occupying power, including Israel, can be granted a perpetual veto over the rights of the people it occupies. The genocide underway in Gaza is a result of decades of impunity and inaction. Ending Israel's impunity is a moral, political, and legal imperative. Successive Israeli governments have given the Palestinian people only three options: displacement, subjugation, or death. These are the choices: ethnic cleansing, apartheid, or genocide. The State of Palestine reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the rule of international law, which must finally prevail. The force of the law must prevail over the unlawful use of force.
For his part, the Palestinian UN representative Riyad Mansour called on the judges to confirm that Israel's presence in the occupied Palestinian territory is illegal.
The State of Palestine appeals to this court to guide the international community in upholding international law, ending injustice and achieving a just and lasting peace, to guide us towards a future in which Palestinian children are treated as children, not as demographic threat, in which the identity of the group to which we belong does not diminish the human rights to which we are all entitled, a future in which no Palestinian and no Israelis is killed, a future in which two states live side by side in peace and security.
As the UN Security Council is meeting today to vote a draft resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the Israeli army has pursued its airstrikes on the enclave. Palestinian sources said that over 100 people were killed for the 24 hours in the Israeli bombardments of various parts of the Gaza Strip, including the southern town of Rafah. The UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East process, Tom Westland, warned against a possible large-scale operation to be launched on Rafah, saying it will lead to a more serious situation there. During a visit to Gaza today, he stressed that fear and despair was negotiable in Rafah, where the situation is disastrous and where 1.4 million displaced are massed. This came as the UN Security Council is meeting today to examine a draft resolution tabled by Algeria calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Many experts have underlined the importance of the 7th summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum amid the current challenges and geopolitical and economic circumstances that the world is going through. Mariam Barshi.
During a conference held at the National Institute of Global and Strategic Studies on gas issues under the motto Energy Security, a means to achieve strategic objectives, the participants indicated that Algeria has a great expertise and pioneering experience in building consensus among states. They said Algeria is capable of taking up this challenge, given that it has an extensive experience in dialogue and rapprochement of views. The director of the National Institute of Global and Strategic Studies on Gas Issues, Abdelaziz Mujahid, affirmed that Algeria has always advocated the unification of efforts for the benefit of all parties. For his part, the expert in strategic studies, Lara Shukrouch, said that the Algiers summit is a continuation of previous efforts, notably those made by Algeria, to make of consultations a means of preserving the interests of gas exporting countries.
The interests of the countries constitute in 3 points. The first one is to export these big quantities of gas properly and sustainably, without hampering the interest of anyone. The additional demand is around 150 and it will reach 250 billion cubic meters. So there should be an agreement on shown exported production. The second condition is to have stable and sustainable prices. Eventually, the best solution is to have a gas OPEC, but if there is no gas OPEC, we will have to go through a mediator or a platform of strategic convergence.
The Jordanian expert, Mr. Salama, for his part, said that the Algiers summit will be a huge success as it aims at preserving the interest of gas-producing and exporting countries.
I bet that the gas summit will be a huge success. And before that, we will witness the success of the forum that Algeria will host by the end of the month. I am sure that it will be successful because its aims consist in the preservation of the interests of the gas exporting countries and those of the consuming countries in the world against the conspiracies aiming to keep the prices of gas low.
The energy expert and member of the Council of the Nation, Shamsuddin Chitour, for his part, said in a statement to the press that the main challenges of the next Algiers summit consist of increasing the gas prices, given the recent fall in price, adding that it is high time for the forum to intervene to give a realistic and reasonable price to satisfy both producers and the consumers.
Now I invite you to listen to an interview conducted by Asya Bikar with the renewable energy and sustainable development expert Luqman Haji to discuss the upcoming gas summit and topics related to energy transition.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome on our waves. Today we have with us Luqman Haji, expert in sustainable development, to talk about the gas forum and also the energy transition and the importance of gas in the energy transition. Mr. Haji, welcome on our waves.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks.
I'm excited to be here discussing Algeria's path to sustainable energy.
Great. So first, what is expected from the upcoming gas summit to be held in Algiers from February 29 to March 2nd?
So the gas summit in Algiers is aiming to bring together key stakeholders, including government officials, industry leaders, and experts, to discuss critical issues related to the gas sector. And this actually includes exploration, production, distribution, and of course the role of gas in the global energy transition.
Mm-hmm. What are the current challenges besetting the gas market?
Because of Algeria's dependence on the fossil fuels, as we know, the economy is based on it. So Algeria is trying to shift and have an energy transition into more sustainable and more renewable energies, such as gas and other energies like wind, solar energies, of course. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna take some time, but hopefully there's a lot of initiatives happening currently in Algeria. Also, there's a lot of legislations and laws put in place to promote such energies.
Mm-hmm. Do the current world geopolitical conflicts and crises affect the gas market? And if so, in what way?
In my opinion, of course, it does impact globally. However, I think in Algeria's case, it affects it positively because we get to produce and fill the gap that's missing in the global demand for natural gas.
Energy transition is the global energy sector's shift from fossil-based systems of energy production and consumption, like oil, natural gas and coal, to renewable energy sources like wind and solar energy. We hear a lot about this shift. Can you tell us more about energy transition?
Algeria is actually actively committed to a comprehensive energy transition to reduce its reliance on fossil fuels and to, of course, embrace cleaner energy resources. The government has actually implemented policies and initiatives to drive this transition, emphasizing sustainability and environmental responsibility.
What's the role of gas in the energy transition, especially that gas is a fossil-based energy system?
Actually, gas has a big role in this transition because it's shifting the focus from traditional fossil fuels energies and opening an opportunity, especially for Algeria to embrace it and to raise the economy to a better and more environmentally way, you know?
Yes, but it is a fossil-based energy system. Can you give us more explanation about this fact?
The thing is, they have the same, it's a fossil fuel, of course, but the way it's extracted, it is actually cleaner because the technologies used have been improving each year globally. So it's much better, and it's even providing more opportunities for the people. So you have social responsibility put in place as well.
And does Algeria have access to this technology?
Yes, it actually does. And it has been, of course, we're not as developed as, let's say, for example, as in Germany or other similar industrial countries. But however, we've advanced really quickly, you know, the past years, especially in this sector.
The UN said the world will continue to advance towards sustainable energy targets, but still there will be a great need by 2030 to polluting fuels and technologies. How does this fact serve the natural gas energy market?
Well, the SDG, the 7th Sustainable Development Goal, so it talks about ensuring an affordable and clean energy for everyone. And it aligns with Algeria's national objectives to provide clean and accessible energy while fostering economic growth and environmental sustainability. So, of course, it's good to develop in these energies. However, you have to also account for the economic growth and, of course, the environmental aspects of it, which is why shifting to a natural gas program will be much better for Algeria's sustainable development, you know?
Realistically, how close is the 7th UN Sustainable Development Goal?
In Algeria or globally?
In Algeria and then globally.
In Algeria, we're not that far. I mean, 2030, I can't say we will be reaching 100%, but we would have a great change at 2030. Like the percentage, would be really high.
Mr. Haji, Algeria is full of renewable energy promise. It hosts significant hydrocarbon resources, and the country also wants to play a role in the energy transition in Africa, mainly thanks to its photovoltaic potential. Do you see a progress in the production of environment-friendly energy in Algeria?
Do I see the potential, you mean?
In terms of production, we know that there is potential, but in terms of production, is there progress recently?
Yeah, of course. So there has been several agencies created. So, for example, we see the newest, we have a few agencies. For example, the APRO, which is the National Agency for the Promotion and Development of Renewable Energy. And the whole purpose is coordinating and implementing policies related to renewable energy development. Also, as we know, we have the National Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Program, and it is launched by the government to accelerate the development of renewable energy and improve energy efficiency. Also, we have the tariff system, the feed-in. It guarantees a fixed price for electricity generated from renewable sources. So these laws are just, and agencies created, they are created for a purpose. They are created to promote the investments in the renewable energy sector, as well as, for example, as we see in the tariff system, it guarantees the people to have a fixed price. So you don't see, like, it ensures the people to have an affordable price for the electricity they are getting. So it's very important to have these initiatives set by the government, of course. And we also have the National Energy Efficiency Program. And the whole purpose is to enhance the energy efficiency across all sectors. And to achieve this, you need, of course, energy efficient technologies, which is Algeria is doing its best to implement them. So these programs and these funds put in place, they will really get us closer to the goal of achieving the 7th SDG.
Are there expertise exchanges between Algeria and other countries, maybe who made significant progress in this field, to better serve this goal of the UN?
I'm not, currently, I'm not familiar, mostly, but I've heard there's a lot of partnerships and agreements with the countries in Europe to enhance the Algerian production of gas. There has been some great agreements with some countries to get the technologies in and to, of course, use them in our advantage, so we can always depend on on Algerians to actually do the work instead of getting more foreigners in. So it's always better to get the technologies in and to implement them and to actually train the people to raise the production and to work, Yeah. More opportunities.
You mean to have the know-how?
Exactly.
Great. Anything you want to add, Mr. Haji?
Honestly, I'm looking forward, of course, to the summit. I'm honored to be here today to discuss a very important topic about Algeria's future, especially when it comes to sustainable development. And as we all know, sustainable development has many ways in our country. It can go from agriculture and energy and social issues that we experience. So from the role of gas in the energy transition to the exciting developments in renewable projects, there is really much more to uncover. I'm eager to share insights and engage in a dialogue about the future of energy in Algeria. And thanks a lot for having me.
Great. Thank you so much for enlightening us on the current energy situation and energy transition. Let's recall that Mr. Luqman Haji, you are a renewable energy and sustainable